This is Chase Edmonds, Arizona Cardinals running back number 29, and you're now listening to the Redbird Redzone podcast, the number one Cardinals podcast in the world. Go Cards, be red, see red. Appreciate you.
And we are live. Welcome to the Redbird Redzone podcast. My name is Will. You can find me on Twitter at LiveOnThatSwing. Joining me today, I've got a co-host and a guest. Why don't you two introduce yourselves?
Yo. It's Mac, Cardiac Mac these days, but you can find me on Twitter at AZSportsFiend. And today we don't have the lovely Jackie, so this episode is a whole of a lot uglier, but we're going to be returning a guest. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Sanders?
Well, it looks like you already introduced my name. Hey, what's up, guys? Sanders
What's
is
your
back.
Twitter?
My Twitter, HC_J Sanders, if you want to pop the follow on there. I think I've been on here a few times now to get some AZ love, right?
Yes, sir. Speaking of HC, how'd that game go? You were telling me about it.
My high school team's in a basketball tournament. We're actually 2-0 in the tournament, so we're doing pretty well right now.
Hey, nice, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah, so we made the winners bracket, which was cool, and then we won the second. It's kind of crazy. So we were down 16 in the first half of the first game. And we're not great this season. We're 2-5, right? So it was like, this is more of the same, right? And then we came back and we won that game by 1 point. And we were like, woo, awesome. And so the second game, we're like, all right, let's not have too high expectations for the second game. And we demolished them 56-34. So we're on a roll right now. We're pretty happy about it.
Sweet.
Kids are loving it. Kids are happy. It's a good time.
Hell yeah, man. Sorry for getting into the side tangent here. It's just, with this game, you got to do whatever you can to blot it out of your mind. It was a real ugly game, just from start to finish, and it was a frustrating one, folks. I'm gonna level with you. A lot of points were left on the table, a lot of mistakes were made, and we're here to talk about that and everything it entails. Guys, if you could narrow it down to one thing, what went wrong this week?
I'm on to Dallas. Let's just talk about Dallas at this point. What is it? Thursday? Jeez. Like you said, everything went wrong, and we talked about it last week. And it really starts with penalties. We set a season high with 11 penalties, and he can't be doing stuff like that. And on third down, that happened consistently. It seemed like
penalties have been a major issue the last few games. As it stands, in the last 3 games, the Cardinals have averaged 8 a game. And that is tied for the most in this 3-game stretch. That tells me that there is a coaching problem, because you don't have that many roughing the passer penalties and false starts unless there's something going wrong in practices. The buck has to stop somewhere, I think.
What do you think? What do you think, Sanders? Did you watch that game Saturday night?
Of course I did. It was the only football game on. But and I have Jonathan Taylor on my fantasy team, and he did poorly actually for fantasy wise, because he only got yardage, and only running yardage sucks in PPR formats. He didn't get a catch, he didn't get a touchdown.
The Cardinals did good after that. After that first burst by Jonathan Taylor, they held him under 2.5 yards a carry after that. So I know
he still got 108 yards. But the problem is he didn't
score. Because they pound it 30 times, Yeah. So, and then we talked about that last week. That's what they try to do, and it felt like we fell right into their game plan.
So we
talked how critical it was going to be for us to get ahead in the game, and that obviously didn't happen.
This game. Oh, go ahead.
Well, he asked. I have 2 things that I think went really wrong here. And the first one is, I'm going to state, I'm not this kind of person, by the way. If you see me, I will blast fans for doing this on Twitter, and I get a lot of shit for it. I'm not a blame the referees guy. Never have been, never will be. But I think there was some egregious calls happening against Arizona that just weren't getting called. Like, Chandler was just held a few times, and it was like,
blatant.
Where are these, right? And then there was a face mask against Carson Wentz that didn't get called either, so, it was just egregious both ways. But I think there's a few things that happened that gave the Colts some opportunities that they shouldn't have had. Second thing, though, a lot of people want to point to special teams, or they want to point to play calling by Cliff Kingsbury, but I want to go into the details a little more. I think it's the small things that are holding you guys back now.
Oh, no doubt.
Here's what I mean by the small things. I went back and I watched a few of my favorite Arizona games this week. because I was like, what happened to this team, right? And I even went back and watched the Rams highlights. By the way, way different game when you're not there live. Because when I was watching it, I was like, wow, this is such a different perspective from like what I had when I went live, right? But what was interesting to me and what I kind of found out was two things. One, this looks like the team that went 8-8 last year. A strong team with a decent roster that's making way too many mistakes and letting it compound, which is not something Arizona folks want to hear, right? And then secondly, when I say the small details, I mean you have a penalty that happens on a crucial third down conversion, or a bad snap that happens by Max Garcia, which I know is not the center. He's supposed to be a right guard, right? But it's what's happening, right? A bad snap. And then it forces Kyler to take
like every week,
and it forces Kyler to take a safety, right? Or something small like missing an extra point or whatever.
That's like the third time in 3 years where he's had that kind of like end zone intentional grounding safety, right? Like it feels like it's every year at this point.
So all these small things that let's be real, if you separate them, right? Like that just happened in a game, right? Just one of those things happened, that doesn't kill you. Right, a missed extra point more often than not doesn't kill you. A safety more often than not doesn't kill you. It's a big momentum swinger, but it doesn't kill you because it's just 2 points at the end of the day. Or a bad snap doesn't kill you, right? Like a lot of the, I mean, it depends on the context. But if we're in the middle of like just say the second quarter, none of these things kill you. But when all of those things all happen in the same game, the impact stacks up. The missed opportunity stacks up. And I think that's the big difference with this Cardinals team right now is they're playing better teams now, like the Rams, like the Colts, and they're making these small mistakes that better teams know how to capitalize on. And that's the big issue.
I really do agree. I mean, like the Colts game was a death by 1,000 cuts. The thing that bugged I focused on this as it was happening. The Prater kicks where McCoy was the holder. First kick, fucking McCoy commits the cardinal sin of being a football holder. Fucking doesn't have the laces out. You know, fucking Prater kicks the laces and it messes with the kick and it.
Die, Dan, die.
Yeah. I mean, in the second one, I don't remember seeing this one as it happened, but I saw people saying it. He kind of wobbles the ball a little bit, and it's like we signed a punter. It's like prior to this game, if I remember right, McCoy was never a holder. So having him be the holder on such short notice when you have a punter on the roster is really baffling to me. I don't understand why they did that. It was frustrating because it's like if he makes all three of those kicks, the punter held. I thought McCoy held the first one. What the fuck? Whatever. I'm just frustrated. It's stupid.
I mean, it never works out well when you have a substitute long snapper or placeholder in there. Yeah, we've seen that for years. It seems like.
But man, I mean, to that point, because like, if we make any of those kicks, we're in a far better situation. It's yeah.
Yeah, and then I mean, like you mentioned Sanders a sack. That's another 2 points right there. So you left 2 field goals and an extra point out there. The Colts missed a field goal themselves, but also just the little things that you're talking to. It seems like every week there's a dime from Kyler. You know, probably a deeper pass on a fade route where either the wide receiver can't come down with it or is out of bounds. And I felt like that play on the first drive of the game to Christian Kirk on third down. We're driving it, set up that Prater, that kick, but it hits right off Christian Kirk's arm. You just have to be better than that. You have to step up. This is your time to shine. And I know Christian Kirk had a fairly nice game, but you can't just be leaving that because that was inside the 10-yard line. So you're basically in touchdown range right there. So I'd say you left another 4 possible points on the board right there, besides the missed field goal. And then the safety, that's 2 more. You just can't do that against good teams. And the Colts, you know, even with Carson Wentz back there, you think Carson Wentz, okay, you might be able to get to him, but his TD to interception ratio is pretty good because Frank Wright knows what he's doing back there as a head coach, play caller. They didn't put Carson Wentz in dangerous positions at all, and he came through. That's exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to pound the rock 30 times, have Carson Wentz throw under 30 times, and that's exactly what we played into, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if Kirk gets his hands on some of those balls, we get it. Kirk had his hands at his sides for that long ball, and that I didn't quite get that. He didn't really try to go for the ball until after it was out of his reach. AJ Green's making too much money to be making just to have one reception a game. This is the 4th game this year where he's only had one reception, and he's basically supposed to be our wide receiver 1 right now, right?
I mean, you want him to step up,
Yeah.
obviously, with D Hop out there. Christian Kirk can't, shoulder the whole load, and you have Antoine Wesley out there, who I thought Wesley had a nice bounce back game. He's shown promise, but
Wesley,
you don't want.
I
You just don't
really
want to
like.
rely on him to be like one of your top 2 receivers out there.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah.
Jackie, she sent us a note telling us to say that Antoine Wesley was her big dick player of the game, and I tend to agree because I think he had a really good game. I would like to see more of him because it's like what little we see of him, I really enjoy. You dissed him like either last week or the week prior, but I really like what I see from him.
Yeah, I mean, when he's just stepping into DeAndre Hopkins' role, though, that's completely different. We're not as dangerous of a team. I mean, he has 13 career receptions. I like what I'm seeing as well, but there's also he's a young player.
With a game like this, you have to look for whatever positives you can find.
I mean, he had 2 catches, 29 yards. He played 50 snaps.
Yeah.
I mean, you love him as much as you want. I would have gone big dick player of the week, Buda Baker. He was
Buda.
all over the field. Give that guy fucking love right there. He's by far the most underrated player in the NFL in my eyes.
He had 2 quarterback hits, if I remember right, and one of those was
one sack.
Nice.
Almost. He had a sack.
That safety blitz. As soon as I saw he was going in, I knew he had it.
And he was just rocking guys all over the field. He was really the only guy who was, a consistent tackler out there. It seemed like that you noticed. He was everywhere all day. And that's what you expect from him. He's an All-Pro for a reason, or going to be a future All-Pro, but he's a Pro Bowler for a reason for how many years in a row. And he had 12 tackles, a sack, pass deflection, 2 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits. So yeah. Hats off to Buda Baker. I thought he dominated the game.
Antonio Hamilton also had a really nice game for what it's worth. I felt like
he gave up that touchdown in the back of the end zone, right?
Yeah, but I mean that was also a really good throw.
Yeah, that was a nice throw. I didn't really notice much of Antonio Hamilton even after rewatch. I don't think he had a pass deflection. I think he had 7 tackles. That's usually not a good sign when the cornerback has 7 tackles.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
And Marco Wilson, hopefully Marco Wilson can come back, speedy recovery. We haven't talked about that, but he left the game after a near interception.
If I remember right, he was listed as an LP on
limited. I think. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, that's for him to be an LP on Wednesday. That's usually a pretty decent sign.
It didn't look good the way he landed on his shoulder.
Oh yeah. That scared me shitless.
And he was getting picked on a little bit, and that's what the danger of. If you even miss him, you're going, Hamilton's going to have to play full time. And that's a guy who just hasn't had the NFL snaps. But, I mean, they definitely picked on Marco a little bit with Michael Pittman, and that's expected. That's going to happen. When you have T.Y. Hilton on the other side, you're going to have to was hoping that we'd see more Byron on Pittman instead of T.Y. But T.Y. had a good game as well. So, I mean, when there's 2 really good receivers out there and your best cornerback's Byron Murphy, and you don't really have a number 2. I mean, we're playing with fire, especially this week coming up against the Cowboys, who might have the best receiving core in the NFL.
Well, hey, you did just sign Bashaud Breeland for it for what it's worth, although he kind of gets burnt like toast sometimes.
Well, we did and we didn't because we didn't sign him because he
practice squad.
He has COVID, basically.
Oh, rough. Sorry, I had just seen that he was claimed off of waivers by the Cardinals. That was the last I'd heard of it. One last thing on this game, and you guys can say whatever else you want after that, but there was specifically, when I was rewatching this game in preparation for this, at the end of the 3rd quarter, there was 3 consecutive plays where you guys rushed 6, and there was no pressure on Wentz whatsoever. And I think that is... I will be nice about it. I think it's a little sad that you rush 6 and there's no pressure on Wentz against essentially 4 second stringers. I mean, I guess that speaks on their depth or maybe their scheme for the Colts. Maybe that's right?
I did see Colts fans acting like it wasn't a big deal that their guys
But-
were out. Like they were saying, like, "Oh yeah, these are good depth guys."
But still, rushing 6 against
I
a bunch
agree.
of second stringers and you're not getting the wins.
When Quentin Nelson's not playing, that's the best probably lineman in football, possibly.
Yeah,
I mean,
certainly the best guard. Yeah.
It's just it was just crazy to me that I thought they would put more pressure on Wentz, and it's so funny how like when 4 offensive linemen are out, right, and your game plan is, hey, they're stopping Jonathan Taylor. Wentz, we need to rely on you to win the game, right? And it's like I believe in Wentz. I like Wentz. I've always liked Wentz, but like I don't love him, but I've always liked him. I've never understood like the hate against him. I know he had a bad couple years with the Eagles, but regardless of that, he's always had this knack for being able to maneuver the pocket and make some plays, as you guys saw on that touchdown pass that he had on 3rd down. But it's crazy to me how when your strategy becomes Jonathan Taylor can't do this all by himself, we need Wentz to perform. That's a scary thought because it's like, oh, all these linemen are out. You're gonna have no protection, dude. Like you're screwed. And then when you watch the game played out, it's like he had all day sometimes, and it's like, wow.
And it's like the big thing people would say coming into this game is like the best thing you can do against this Colts team is force them to use Wentz. Like that clearly didn't mean anything this week because Wentz didn't have a completely terrible game this week.
No, he played pretty well for what he was asked to do.
He's having a pretty good year. I mean, if you look at his numbers, a lot of teams would take what he's been throwing out there.
Shocking,
actually.
He went back to Frank Reich and he's having a good year.
But if the Cardinals aren't dialing up blitzes up the middle, they have to rely on Chandler Jones and Marcus Golden. There's no pass rush up the middle between. I mean, I like what Fotu's bringing, and I thought Corey Peters had a much better game than what he's had previously. And some of those other guys, but they're not guys who can get to the quarterback really. And like you're sorely missing J.J. Watt up there. Because other than that, if Chandler Jones got to the Carson Wentz and created that fumble, and I thought that was a BS. What do they call pass interference on Byron Murphy down the field?
That was ridiculous. That was
ridiculous. You talking about the forced fumble? That was illegal.
Yeah.
That was kind of blatant though. He was on his ass for like 10 yards down the field.
I don't know. I didn't really see it like that, to be honest. I thought maybe a hand was on him, but I thought that kind of changed the game right there. And it is those little things that kind of just compound. I know there are multiple times when we had the ball, when our offensive lineman, I believe it was Josh Jones twice, when we had the ball on 3rd downs. Or the first one was 3rd down. The second one was a 4th and 1. And Josh Jones false start. You can't be doing that, especially at home.
I'm a broken record on this. I'm gonna say it once. I'm gonna say it 40 more fucking times this year because it keeps happening. Roughing the passer rules need a fucking change. That one roughing the passer on that play with Wentz, that touchdown. I don't know, man. That was kind of sus. Because it's like there's a point where you just can't get out of the way anymore. And I get it, player safety, but it's just on the same token, I don't fucking know.
It's kind of become like how pass interference used to be. It's a very gray area call, and it's a horrible gray area these days.
Yeah,
it's not just us. It's every freaking game played. The way the league's going.
Mac knows the fucking word I keep using every time I bring it up, and I'm not going to use it this time because he's going to make fun of me.
Inertia.
But, I need to know what this word is now.
Inertia, baby.
Usually talks about it when our guys run into the punter, and he's like, "That's bullshit. That was inertia."
Man. But yeah, it was just a really frustrating game. This was the 3rd game in a row where I had to turn it off early. It's like this was a very. I mean, I turned it off like after that AJ Green 4th down conversion fail. I don't know. It's just I went back later and I watched the end of it, but it's just I don't like watching that directly after watching the Suns failing to close out. It was just.
Can't turn games off early. I don't give a fuck.
The difference is the Warriors were the 2nd best team in the NBA, and the Colts are not the 2nd best team in the NBA.
Yeah, but it's just it compounded. I was just really frustrated. And it's just like I don't know. I know it's like considered fake fan behavior to criticize the team or whatever, but it's just if there comes a point where I'm just not enjoying it, like yeah, I'm gonna take a walk, I'm gonna get dinner. It's like I can still come back to this and enjoy it.
I just go grab another beer.
I personally am going to go see Hornets Suns this weekend, and that's going to be what I am focusing on this Sunday.
I mean,
Unless
that
gets
should be a nice
canceled.
dub. That should be a nice dub.
I got me some lower deck seats. Like I might be on TV, man. That shit's gonna be sweet. But
look out for you.
the Cardinals have not won a game since they made that weird Twitter post where the bird's on the Chicago bean. It looks kind of like a penis.
You know what's funny is when I saw that, I was like, oh, it's an L. And I never thought anything until I saw the comments and I saw where everybody else's mind was. I was like, I would have never, and I have a pretty dirty mind, by the way. I would have never taken it that way. I immediately knew it was an L.
I knew it was supposed to be the bean, and I kind of ascertained that it was an L, but I could absolutely see why people went there immediately. We haven't won a game since then, and I really wish they would take it down. Because that's becoming our...
Take it down? They still have it? What do you mean? It's not pinned or anything.
Well, no, I mean, like, just delete the tweet and, like, I don't know. I'm a firm believer...
Because you haven't won since bad juju?
Yeah, it's bad. Don't make fun of the bean.
Cardinals social media team's been having a rough fucking go of it recently. Holy shit! Yeah. Some better people working on there, please. Jesus Christ!
Oh my god! You know what? It doesn't help.
Unnecessary drama taking fucking all the eyes onto our fucking poor performances. Come on, people.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help that Big Cat. It was kind of a douchebag.
Oh, he was. You know, and all those douchebag followers too. Yeah.
Fuck Barstool. I'm the fact that like the biggest the biggest viral tweet from us is the Love Actually one where it's like, oh yeah, we lost, and it's like that's so fucking humiliating. Just make an infographic and be done with it.
Right?
Don't get all fancy for announcing an L.
Well, they kind of had to after that one.
Oh, I know. It's frustrating.
And I thought it was a good one.
They could have just like wrote it on the sand or something on the dirt.
What's so weird to me though is like my social media team, like as soon as the game's over, they just post a picture of like my team or our team, right? And if it's a win, there's like a big post about it, or if it's lost, it just says game or final. Or like they actually like put a few words or like for most recent one when we lost to the Packers 31-30, it said fighting till the end, right? Because that's kind of a moral victory when like you have a backup quarterback and you take the best team in the NFL to 31-30, right? And like nobody can be mad about that. Like they posted the score, fighting till the end, cool, right? I've just never heard of a social media team not posting it, and I had no problem with them not posting it. I just thought like that was.
I feel like I've heard it one time. I feel like I remember seeing a team do it recently, like within the last couple of years. And I just remember like thinking, you fucking douchebags.
Just post the L and move on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just frustrating. I want to feel good about this week, but on the same token, just seeing both how Dallas did on Sunday night and just seeing the streak they're on.
Oh boy!
I think Kyler Murray's luck in Texas ends on Sunday. I'm gonna be straight up.
What, you don't think he's gonna be 9-0 in AT&T?
Well, I don't think he's gonna be 54-0 in Texas anymore.
Oh well, he's 8-0 in AT&T. That's why I was like,
I don't know. But on the same
it's got to be a low scoring game. I think the defense has to step up. Yeah. We're not going to keep up in a shootout with them.
Oh, I'm sorry, for sure. But I mean, on the same token, Mike McCarthy's basically our bitch. So I mean,
we've won the last 4 games against him, so I'm going my grave with that.
Yeah, we got him fired. In Green Bay.
Josh Rosen.
That's so embarrassing. That needs to be brought up more. But yeah. Yeah, just a very frustrating game. There was just a lot that went wrong, and but I mean, let's talk about some stuff that went right. That fake punt play, or I don't know, not a fake, that decoy play on the punt. I had seen that before with the Rams, but I thought they executed it really, really well. for this game. Like I really did dig that look, and it's like it's really impressive to do that because it requires a lot of like gamesmanship and illusion, and I really don't know how that works. So what did you
Honestly,
guys think of that?
rewatching it, it almost looked so natural. Because
Yeah.
Byron Murphy's up at like the 50-yard line or even whatever. He's on like the receiver on the outside, and he's just like the receiver and everyone else cuts up to where the punt returner is at, and it looks like Byron's just eyeing it the whole time, like over his shoulder. I mean, watching it again, it definitely looked like he kind of improv'd it, but I mean, it was a hell of a play, and that was a big possession right there that got us good field possession. I believe out was it coming out of half. And I believe we came down and we scored a touchdown, I believe. Yeah, yep, we scored a touchdown. It was on the third play, the little dime to Antoine Wesley. So yeah, I mean that contributed 2 points right there. So we'll take all the good vibes and everything when they come, because these last few weeks have been hurting, and yeah, I do want to see Byron Murphy stepping up here these next couple of games. He's cornerback one for a reason. We haven't seen him impact a game too much positively recently, so that's something I want to keep an eye on, especially with the depleted cornerback room.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. Like it is really frustrating that we went from having like nobody injured to everybody injured. Oh man, it sucks. I
You gotta enjoy the good times while they're here. They don't always last long.
yeah. I mean, but yeah, I mean, there what that punt play was a bright side. The Cardinals had forced the most negative yardage plays for Taylor that the league has forced this year, so that was nice. I thought that was kind of
Oh yeah, I mean, there was only I think 3 plays that he had over like 6 or 7 yards, and I mean to do that to one of the best running backs in the world, top two, him and Derrick Henry. I thought the defense stood up, and yeah, he rushed for over 100 yards, but like we talked about last week with the Patriots game, Patriots had him in check. And having Jonathan Taylor in check is 100 yards at 30 carries, and then he busts one loose for 70 yards or whatever it is.
well. I will
So
say they beat us in a different way than I thought they would.
I've been moving. We have to turn on our keys to our apartment, and we got a house all kind of situated, getting there a little bit. So I haven't had too much time to do stats. But this was the first game where Jonathan Taylor was held out of the end zone in his last 11 games. So that's something to you can kind of hang your hat on. Hopefully the Cardinals kind of found something right there, because it looks like the Cowboys with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. That's a tough little duo right there. And I know Zeke hasn't been great this season, but he looked pretty good on Sunday night.
Yeah, I mean, and speaking of the run, the this was another game where we prioritized the pass over the run. Like we had 43 passing attempts versus 21 runs, and I really would like to see us uh, run a little more this week against against the Cowboys, because this feels like a good week for us to get Connor back in the fold and get Edmonds involved, because this Cowboys defense in terms of the run is kind of middle of the pack. Like they're not outstanding, but they're not terrible, and I
They don't have a lot of weaknesses, but that's somewhere where I thought Chase did a good job. He moved the sticks, and I saw a lot of people complaining how Cliff didn't stick to the run. And going back and rewatching, I really only rewatch. So most games I'll watch live, and I'm drinking or whatever,
yeah.
and so I make my initial views kind of right there, and then I let it marinate for a couple days, and I go back and try to just more or less, if I how much time, depending on how much time I have, I'll focus on multiple things or just one thing. And today, the only thing I really focused on was chart and how many times we rushed the ball compared to passing the ball on each and every drive. And you can't tell me Cliff really went away from the run other than the one possession when we got the ball back and we were winning 13-12. We went It was the only time we went 3 straight passes to start the drive, and we went 3 and out. Took less than 30 seconds off the clock. And gave it back to Indy, and I believe they came down and they kicked the field goal. We got the ball back. I believe, turned it over on downs, and they came back down and scored a touchdown, and that was kind of it. But it was the only time Cliff got really away from the run. I felt like was the only 3 and out that I had that I noticed.
Yeah, I felt like the clock management on that final drive was a little frustrating. Like we start that drive with 4 minutes, and then we end it with 42, and all we have to with 42 seconds, and all we have to show for it's a field goal. Like I felt that was kind of frustrating. I kind of get what we were going for with that. Like I saw some people frustrated that we took the 3 points as opposed to just trying for the touchdown, or like.
I thought go for it on 4. I mean, it was 3rd down. We kicked the field goal, so I didn't really see the harm in maybe giving it one more play. But if you don't get it, if you get sacked, and that all that time's coming off the clock, so I kind of get it. I don't hate it.
But on the same token, like you don't move. I mean, they didn't move the ball on that on those 1st and goal plays in that drive. So it's like I don't get why you don't just.
Oh, for sure.
No,
there's definitely
on 1st down,
game management.
No difference than yeah.
Oh, no. But I feel you. That drive took so long. It was. I feel like our 2-minute offense. I don't know where it's gone, but it just hasn't been.
Well, you've also got to figure that our best option for a 2-minute offense has been taken out of the equation. Like our 2 best receivers this game were a tight end and a running back.
Oh, for sure. But really, that's probably not going to change, in the near future. So they got to kind of get used to it and figure it out.
Yeah, this team is really struggling to figure out its identity without its key contributors.
Did you see Matt Miller's tweet today?
I did not. What did it say?
You know who he is? Like a draft analyst. He's been around the league for a long time, and I don't know if I necessarily follow him or not, but it just kind of showed up on my timeline, and he was talking about how, he's been kind of proven wrong by Cliff's success in the NFL, but that he's heard from opposing, I believe, defensive coordinators or opposing team executives or something that, there's things that Cliff does great and then things he doesn't do great. And he's a great schemer. He's great, play designer, but his in-game management, his clock management, and his in-game ability to adapt within the game has a lot to be desired. And you know what? I think that's fair. We've talked about that. And
I do think he tends to panic whenever he's down. Like you can tell that he really does feel like he's in control when he's got the lead and he's, they're kind of making it work. But like when the Cardinals are down, you can really tell that it gets to him.
You can always tell like his heart is to fucking pass and attack. His heart is in an air raid, but he has done well adjusting to the NFL. And running, and he really did it in college a lot too. It's a lot of his own schemes up front allows for a very good run game. So he did that in college well. But I feel like early on in his NFL career, he did try to go almost too much air raid, and I believe it was Sean Kugler who almost sat him down. I think that story came out and kind of was like, "Yo, trust the process, trust the run game." And I feel like he's done a good job with that, but he does go back to his roots at times. To where he does try to, he's very uncomfortable when the game is close or down.
I can kind of see why he leaned more on the pass this game, because just like the guy who had the most carries for us, Edmonds, his efficiency kind of left something to be desired. He had 3.5 a carry, but I would like to see Kugler take an expanded role in the organization next year. I think that if Keim or whoever puts the foot down and says, "Look, we kind of want you and Kugler to split play calling duties," I wouldn't hate that. I would like to see what two.
I don't know. It seems like a lot of people are hating on our offensive line right now, and it seems like a lot of people were bringing out the praises for Sean Kugler first half of the season, and then this back half, it's all the criticism to Cliff and Sean Kugler. I mean, he shouldn't be without blame too. I don't mind criticizing anybody within the organization. Everyone
sure.
obviously wants to win. And, when people do great, they should get the praise. But if they need to be better, and, it starts from everyone. It starts from Kyler down,
Sanders.
Cliff down. So
Sanders,
everyone could be a little bit better.
Sanders, what do you make of this?
In general, as an outsider who has been a pretty big Cliff defender, I'd say, and the reason for that is because I love my head coach, right? I don't want to talk too much about my own team, but I love John Harbaugh, right? And there was a point when we didn't make playoffs 3 years in a row. And at the end of that third year, there was a lot of Baltimore fans who had the pitchforks out and said he needs to go, right? Like he had a success. This is the end of the road for him. And I was one of those people that was like, no. I was one of the few people that was like, no. He brought us to a 5-11 record when we had, I think, 22 players on IR in 2015. And 10 of those 11 losses were by 4 points or less. Like, we had freaking Ryan Mallett as our quarterback, and we only lost, I think it was to the Patriots by 2 points. Like, crazy stuff like that like shouldn't happen, but because he's such a good coach, I wanted him around. Like, I knew he was good for us, and here we are this year, 19 IR players, 33 on the COVID list, and yet we brought the Packers to 31-30. We gave the Bengals a good fight till they separated in the second half as well. I always appreciate when a coach does a good coaching job. And sometimes, and a lot of fans need to understand this, a coach can do everything right, but if the players don't execute, that's on the players.
Or if you don't have good enough players.
Or if you don't have the players, right? And I think in the case of Cliff Kingsbury, who is where I want to translate this to, Cliff Kingsbury did not have the roster when he first took over. But he led them to, I think it was a 6-10 record, right? Or was it 5-11?
Wait, no,
5-10-1.
Yep.
5-10-1. That's right. There was a tie in there.
Opening day tie.
And yeah, I think that was one of the more exciting years I've watched of the Cardinals because they were fun to watch. And yeah, it ended in heartbreaking more often than not, but they were fun to watch. And then the 8-8 year, yeah, it sucks. You go from 6-2 to 2-6. But they were, again, exciting to watch, and they were just faltering at the end of it, right? And there was just a few things that you could point out on the roster. Like, this is missing, and if they get this, they should be better. And guess what? You guys got it, and you started 7-0, and you're 10-5 right now. But here's the issue, and I think this is more of a Steve Keim kind of deal, and this is where I point my finger at. I think Steve Keim traded for Ertz, signed J.J. Watt, let Chandler Jones stay without extending him, and he said this is enough, right? Well, when your players go away, i.e. Max Williams getting hurt, which is why you traded for Zach Ertz, Max Williams getting hurt, J.J. Watt getting hurt, DeAndre Hopkins getting hurt, well, then we're just back to last year, aren't we? And like I said before, This looks like the 8-8 team from last year. So take away what Steve Keim signed, and you just have last year's team. And that is what you are currently seeing. Right, you were seeing last year's team again. So the fact that they are like this doesn't surprise me, because I think you really miss J.J. Watt and you really miss Hopkins. And if you had those things, you'd be there. And then some people could argue, well, shouldn't a coach patch that? Yes, but I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is that kind of guy. There's very few coaches that are. I would say coaches like Belichick, Tomlin, Harbaugh, and maybe Sean Payton are those type of coaches that can coach past, a bad roster. I would say most coaches, not even Pete Carroll can do it. Look how awful Seattle is right now. Not even Pete Carroll can do it, and Pete Carroll's a great coach. I don't think you can give it all to Cliff Kingsbury. I think a piece of the blame goes to Keim for saying the top end is enough and relying on, I'm sorry, J.J. Watt being healthy when he hasn't been for the last few years. The Hopkins thing is kind of unfortunate. That's not something I would have expected to happen either. The one thing I will yell about to Cliff Kingsbury, if they want to give Cliff Kingsbury any sort of grief, right, is, and I'm excluding play calling here, I'm talking about more big picture here, where the fuck is Rondale Moore? That's my biggest complaint about it. I mean, I feel like he should be taking off the top ends of defenses, and he hasn't been doing that.
There is nothing that Cliff Kingsbury loves doing more than signing speedy wide receivers and then proceeding to do absolutely nothing with them. But
Fun
yeah,
fact, Rondo. This is from at Linus on Twitter, Lynus. He's a Cardinal fan. I don't follow him, but give him a follow. Sounds like he's a decent account. But Rondell Moore has more yards after catch, yak, 438 than he has total receiving yards, 435. That just shows you how often he's catching balls behind the line of scrimmage. He's essentially taken over Larry Fitzgerald's role. And they're both
and it
kind of
was
miscast because in
yeah.
camp, what did you hear? You heard, oh, this rookie receiver, second round pick, he's going up and over, all these DBs in practice. And what are we doing here in the games? We're not sending him downfield.
I would like to say I think it's okay
Frustrating.
what you've done with him so far because he did those same things in college. I literally think Cliff said, I need that guy in my scheme. That's what he's doing in college is those screens, and that's fine, right? But I think what's being underutilized, like you're saying, with going over the DBs, is his speed. Like if you want 70% of Rondale Moore snaps to be from the screen, everybody goes out, blocks, Christian Kirk blocks, like all those
Yeah, then
people block.
fine.
That's
Yeah.
okay. But I think you need to, like, 3 out of 10 times
Yeah, I agree.
catch the defense off guard, right? When you go into
He's
a
the one
set,
guy who can stretch the field right now for
like
us too.
you can go into a set where it looks like the defense is going to say, "Oh, hey, they're running a screen again," right? So we need to watch out for the screen to Rondell Moore. But instead of Moore just hanging out in the background, he just zips down the sideline, right? Like that's just a different look, right? And that's keeping the defense honest. And even if the play doesn't work, right? That's not the point. Isn't whether you
Keeping
get the
him
40
honest,
yard
yeah,
play or
opens it
not.
up.
It's to keep them honest and say, okay, if we get into this formation again, we can't expect a screen. We have to be cautious that Rondell Moore is going to zip down the sideline, right? And you have to force them to read that, and they're not doing those kind of things. So I'm not a football coach, right? I'm just a high school basketball coach at the end of the day. But I do know, like, when it comes to scheming, and it's the same in all sports, if you run the same scheme, not only are the opposing coaches going to figure out, but the opposing players are going to figure that out, right? And then you have to adjust to that and make them think something else is going to happen with your scheme. I mean, I do it all the time in my games. Like I said, I'm just high school. It's not comparable, but like, it is a. I think there's a slight comparison to be made here that like if you just run the same thing over and over and over, people are going to figure it out, right? And you need to do something different off of that same thing. I'm not saying change your whole playbook. I'm saying run a different version of it, right? Instead run the same formation that you have for a screen, but have Rondale Moore run down the sideline instead.
It
Or
is
maybe have him do a post route, right? Like have him do something different that keeps the defense honest. I think
it
there's a
is
reason why Cliff Kingsbury always has second half fallouts, and it's because if you guys haven't noticed, you guys haven't really changed your plays throughout the year. Like the offense you run now kind of looks like the offense you ran in week 1.
it is nice to see somebody other than Larry or D Hop being relegated to those screenplays. It was one of the most infuriating parts of last year was seeing those two guys who are primarily, let's be frank here, guys who catch the ball downfield or like possession receivers
And they're
being
slower.
being relegated to like try to get those screenplays and get the, because I mean Larry Fitzgerald, love him to death, but even at his peak, he was not a speedster, man. It was frustrating to see him relegated to that role last year, and I know like part of that was just to get him his catch every game, but it's just on the same token, it's like you can't do that if you're trying to win games.
I would like to reject your reality and submit the 2008 Super Bowl play where he outran the entire Pittsburgh secondary down the field.
And then what
Just
happened?
saying. Okay, well, it's not my fault your defense couldn't defend against Antonio Holmes, but like
Santonio
that's not
Holmes
my
did not
problem.
catch that ball, and I will stand by that till I die.
Every Cardinals fan says that, but there's literal film proof that he did.
Yeah, well, there was film proof of the moon landing, and
Oh no.
that's my
Conspiracy. The moon never landed and Antonio Holmes never caught the ball. I love it.
that's yeah. It was a deep fake psyop conspiracy. What I don't care. But yeah, I mean, at least we're not the Panthers. I listen to local sports talk radio because I'm in Charlotte. And it's really funny what they'll let Rule get away with. Like, I swear to God, he could murder somebody on the sidelines, and the local media was like, "We're not sure if he's a bad guy." I like they were like, "Oh yeah, it is he is doing the best he can with what little he has," and it's like the Saints have kind of like the same structure, like just a mediocre quarterback, a good running back, a all right defense, and they've got a better record. Like they're in the playoff picture. Carolina, it's just they're a fucking mess. I know I've brought them up the last few episodes, but it is really nice to see them kind of brought down a peg. I fucking hate Matt Rule, man.
After beating our ass. Cool. Hey, but Sanders, to your point about Steve Keim, I know on here I was kind of pushing for him to trade for a defensive tackle at least, especially um, in case there's more injuries. But with JJ Watt out, you kind of need a little more interior presence, I thought. And even though I feel like the young guys are kind of holding it down a little bit, Fotu and Rashard Lawrence, they probably could have added a little bit more professional depth. Someone who's maybe has a history of getting to the quarterback from that position. But I think to even go a little bit further, I think it's almost the guys that he's cut that has hurt this team. And I'm talking about like as in season cuts or right before the season. One, Lamont Galliard, we drafted him 2 years ago at center, I believe from Georgia. And I know a lot of fans were kind of hyped about him. We cut him before this year, and I think probably the thought process you had enough guys there with you wouldn't need Max Garcia to step in because um, but when Justin Murray got hurt, that kind of hurt us over at right guard. So Josh Jones had to fill in. But that's somebody who, looking back at it, you probably would want somebody on your roster, and we probably need somebody on our roster if we're gonna ever miss any more time with Rodney Hudson to not have a guard, switching over to center or whatnot. And we have missed a lot of guys or whatnot. But the other guy who's even a bigger name, Rajul Douglas, who Steve Keim signed
That's a
when
frustrating one.
When Malcolm Butler got left. We'll put it that way, retired. He's now fourth in the NFL in interceptions with 5, and nobody talks about that. I didn't have enough time to look at where he ranks, but he's given up 51% completion percentage. That's it. That's better than anyone on the Cardinals on like 60 targets or whatnot. So he's playing literally an all pro level for, the best team or one of the best teams in the NFL. I guess the best team, the best record, Packers, 12-3. And he's doing a hell of a job over there. Pass deflections are up there, interceptions right up there. And that, me seeing him making plays every week, that frustrates me more because he was in this locker room, and we just let him go. So to an extent, I from a different aspect, I do think Steve Keim deserves some criticism, and that's just kind of what's been nagging me last couple of weeks. And
that
since you brought that up, I felt like it was a good time to
and that
also
is
bring that up.
it's especially dubious now, just given how much our defensive depth is just
Yeah,
having to be brought up now. It is really frustrating.
It's like I'm not calling for anyone's firing or whatever, but if I'm Michael Bidwell and I'm looking, who's underneath me, and seeing, how's your employee doing? What kind of foresight does he have? Especially with how banged up our cornerback room, or just how young and inexperienced, or how much time they've missed, aka Robert Alford, and you're relying on, like you literally came into the season relying on Robert Alford to be healthy throughout the whole year. And, and it worked out for a good amount of weeks, but this is the NFL, and it's really biting us in the ass, I feel like, and that's just kind of something I wanted to get off my chest a little bit.
I would like to see us pick either an interior defensive lineman or a cornerback up in the draft this offseason.
I want an interior defensive lineman. I want a free agent. I want I want to spend money on, not fucking Jordan Phillips, not somebody who had one good year.
Yeah.
I want somebody with a history behind them. Any young defensive tackles, and that doesn't really get me excited. Sometimes some of those can't miss defensive tackle prospects, they don't come in and help your team win games right away. I want guys in the trenches who've been there. So I'm not even really looking ahead to the draft or anything, but I just know free agency wise, I want guys who've been in the trenches before.
Feel you. I had a crazy amount of notes this week. I noted in my notes that like when I sent this initially on Discord, it was 2.8 megabytes big, which for a screenshot is fucking massive. Like that's just ridiculous.
So I don't know if you'd be willing to pay for him because I know he'd be a little expensive. What about Brandon Williams? He's probably going to be. He's probably going to be the top defensive lineman on the market because I'm looking at all the ones that are going to be free agents in 2022, and it's pretty slim pickings.
Yeah.
How's he doing for you guys?
Oh, he's a baller all the time, every time. Fun fact, by the way, whenever we give in the last 6 years, right? Whenever
I got tripped up for a second because I thought you were talking about the other Brandon Williams.
I have no idea who the other Brandon Williams is. I only know the one that's on my team.
Ex-Cardinal that we drafted, running back that we drafted, cornerback.
Gotcha. No, so fun fact. For the last 6 years, anytime we've let a 100-yard rusher happen against our defense, which doesn't happen on Baltimore. Usually if you're beating Baltimore's defense, ironically enough, it's through the air, which is weird to say because we had such a great secondary, but you know, none of them are playing. Like Marlon Humphrey's out for the season, Marcus Peters is out for the season, our starting safety Deshaun Elliott's out for the season. Crazy. But whenever we've had the ball run us, it's when Brandon Williams has missed games. He is such an anchor for the run defense, and he'd be a perfect answer for you guys. Now, I'd be really upset because my defense can't lose him. We'd have a massive hole if we lost him. But if you're looking for someone to, trying to be non-biased here, if you're looking for someone to salvage your defense, which I think is your guys' problem on defense more often than not, Brandon Williams is a great answer, and he becomes a free agent next year. He'll be pricey a little bit. I don't think he'll get the money that we gave him because we gave him a deal after his first 4 years, right? So he's been with us for 8 years. I don't think he'll get the $10.5 million, or he'll warrant the $10.5 million we're paying him this year because he'll be older.
Somebody will pay him though if it just takes one team.
But if you want that older veteran guy, right? I think he could probably be in the Ndamukong Suh area. Like $7.5 million.
He'd definitely be an upgrade over Corey Peters. I love Corey Peters. I said last week he's a Cardinal at heart, but there's a reason why he was around the scrap heap right before the season started. So
I guess if you were looking for a budget, you could go Malik Jackson or Sheldon Richardson. But I think Brandon Williams, if you want a solution, not just like a stopgap, a solution, a 2-year deal to Brandon Williams, I think would be the right thing.
So I'm not even if we don't do off-season episodes on here for some reason. Will doesn't like them, but if we did, we would definitely have a free agent episode.
Well, usually we have a like an off-season roundup, or we have because like with the off-season, it's like I don't want to stretch ourselves thin because it's like there are weeks in the season where it's like, what is there to really talk about?
Nothing happens. Yeah, I know.
We don't need to do it weekly. It was more just like
like maybe like a monthly, maybe I don't know, but it's like listening to like sports talk radio in like the summertime is just the worst because it's like they're either talking about the Diamondbacks who suck, or they're talking about free agents, or sorry, they're talking about the free agency or training camp, and it's like the first day and a half of free agency is interesting. Everything from that point to like
even a draft episode would be nice though. We haven't.
Oh yeah, I mean we do usually do a draft episode though, don't we?
No, we just do it off season. So we ready for pick'ems? I mean, we're already an hour on
yeah, definitely. This week is last week was fucking cursed. I won. Bobby,
you won. Wait, you have all. I've been on this show 3 times now, and you never win. Come on.
Yeah. 1-2 punch. I won this and I won fantasy, so I am in the consolation championship for fantasy.
Consolation, nice. I started 1-4 in my league with the one I'm with Pardue on, and I finished 9-5. I made a couple trades for like Joe Mixon and I forget the other. Dallas Goedert. As soon as I found out Ertz was gone, I traded for Dallas Goedert because like the person wasn't high on him because he was garbage. I'm like, yeah, but Ertz is out of there, so there's money. And I gave him Rob Gronkowski for it, and he was like, oh, and he's like, oh, I'm stealing from you. And I'm like, yeah, you think you're stealing from me, but who succeeded in the end? Me. Unfortunately, this last week I played against a guy who scored 210 points. I had a good week. I scored 150, but this guy scored 210. So he had Chase Edmonds, Tom Brady, like all these guys got like 35 plus. There's just nothing I can do about that. I can't believe he started Chase Edmonds. Insane, but he did it, and it worked out well for him. So I'm gonna be in my third place match this week.
I'm in the 5th place game. But yeah,
Hey,
well, I lost
for top
because of
five.
Matt Prater and because the Cowboys defense put up 24 points and I lost by 5. So
Holy
we can move
moly.
on and do, and that's my big money league $150 buy-in. So we can move on to pick'ems right now. Let's roll.
Yeah, Bobby should have played some specially requested music for my pick'em victory win. Anyway, no Thursday night football game this week, thank God. Opening up your Sunday slate, you've got a stinker. Jackie, you really would want to pick this. Bears Giants. Who y'all got?
I already know Will's going Giants. I'm gonna go friggin' Bears.
Sanders.
You know what's funny enough here? I'm gonna have to go Bears because at least the Bears have a competent defense and they look like a somewhat competent team at times. Yeah, Matt Nagy's the coach, but like there's moments where you're like, oh yeah, this is a good roster. It's just not coached well, kind of deal. And
Mike Glennon's still starting for the Giants.
And I'll give that over whatever the hell
Nick
the
Foles
Giants are gonna
started
do
last week.
For the Bears.
And it's not about it's not about the quarterback. It's just about like the overall roster in general. And funnily enough, if you watch Bears games, this defense plays hard. They always do. And against the Giants, yeah, they're gonna. It doesn't matter who's at quarterback. They're gonna beat them.
Do your chant, Will. Let's go.
I don't know how to do it. Go Chicago, baby! It's gonna be the Bears, baby.
I gotta prove nothing to me.
I'm not proving anything. I mean, it's their quarterback play's been ugly the last few weeks. The highest amount of yards that Glennon's had over the last 3 weeks was 191. So pretty ugly.
We already spent too much time on that game.
Yeah, I mean, any amount of time's too much
go
time
Chicago,
for that.
Go Chicago, go. Good call, Bubbles.
Nah, the meter there's all funky. Jags, Pats, who y'all got?
Oh, Patriots, not even close. Next.
Sheesh. Yeah, I agree. We don't need to spend much time on that one.
Yeesh. Pats. All right. Sanders, this is for you, baby. Rams, Ravens. Moved from the 4. Now it's at the 1. Who you got?
I got the Rams.
Yeah, so as much as I would love to pick my team here, right? You know, I don't know if Tyler Huntley's playing, and I don't know if Lamar Jackson's kind of an issue. And not that our third string did terribly. Like, this is the Rams, dude, and the Rams look hot right now. That November slump, whatever it was, looks like it doesn't exist. With how they've been playing. Yeah, Matt Stafford threw 3 picks, but they still scored 30 they still scored 30 points despite him throwing 3 picks to the Vikings. Like, I don't know what to say, man. The Rams, they don't look like a well-oiled machine, but they just look a lot better again. And I wouldn't
beat the Seahawks 20-10.
I wouldn't be surprised if they lost this game simply because Harbaugh usually coaches pretty well. But at the end of the day, don't expect a matchup like the last time they met up when it was like 42-10 because these ain't the same teams. So yeah, I got to go Rams.
Will's quiet. I'm curious what he's got up his sleeve.
There could be an upset, but
Lamar was a limited practice today and had a little bit of a limp, but I mean usually if there's a limited practice on Wednesday, that's usually a good sign. Especially since this is week 17 and the Ravens are in a real tricky situation.
They have to win the last 2. If they win the last 2 games, they clinch, by the way. So they have to win the last 2.
honest to God, I think they're going to come out and they're going to play harder than the Rams. I'm gonna disagree with you, Sanders. I'm going to disagree with you, Mac. I'm going to say it's going to be the Ravens.
I hope you're right. I just hope you're right.
They got something they have to prove, and it's that I trust this. I trust Lamar Jackson in this game. I really do.
I will say, of the 33 players that are on injured reserve or the COVID list from last week, 9 of them are reported coming back already. So 9 of the 53 of the original 53 are coming back. There is that to look forward to, but
After this, we got another awful game that we'll spend 10 seconds on. Bucks Jets. Who you got?
I totally got the Jets on this one. No, I'm
What?
joking. Bucks. I had them for a second. It's Bucks, dude.
Yeah,
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it's going to be Tampa Bay. As much as I hate Brady, it's going to be them.
Even though I feel like there's always one crazy upset per week.
It's not this one, bro. It's not this one.
I know. I'm not going. I'm going
If
Tampa.
there is a crazy upset, dude, it's the completely practice squad Ravens beating the Rams. Or maybe even something like the Giants possibly beating the Bears.
Next one, you've got an interesting one. This could be something. Falcons Bills. Who you got?
The Bills look like the Bills of old the last couple of weeks, so I'm gonna have to go.
Yeah, you can't trust Matt Ryan and that team. Yeah, I'm going Buffalo as well.
Go New York, go New York, go! It's gonna be the Bills, baby. Love the Bills. Get a touchdown!
Oh boy, that was some enthusiasm.
Yeah, it's gonna be the Bills. You can't ever trust the Falcons to produce in the clutch, man. This just doesn't happen.
They have playoffs. They have playoff chances right now. It means they're gonna lose.
This next one's a big game for Browns fans. You got Chiefs Bengals. Who you got?
I gotta go KC. I like what Joe Mixon and the Bengals and Joe Burrow threw 520 something yards last week, but Kansas City's been elite against the air this last 8 weeks or something. So we're gonna go KC over here.
I'd like to let you know, and I'm just gonna go on a small tangent for a second, if you don't mind.
Motherfuckers tangent.
Yeah, I did say tangent, and then I changed it to tangent. The Chiefs started 3-4. They're now 11-4. The amount of people.
No, they're good.
And I understand,
Yeah.
most people would probably hate it if this happened. But if you've noticed, the media is not really talking about Kansas City right now because they're not like they used to. Right,
but there's so many storylines and shit going on this year.
I agree, but I feel like the biggest storyline is that the Chiefs aren't winning through old Kansas City, and that might be why they're not getting covered. It's not amazing throws, which, by the way, Patrick Mahomes did make those, but it's not the wowness anymore. It's through solid offense, solid gameplay, and they did it without Travis Kelce. Plus, their defense has stepped up. They're just a complete team. So much for being a broken team, dude. Back in week 7, when everyone's like, "This is a broken team," yeah, a broken team that went 11-4, figured it out, has good coaching, number 1 seed in the AFC, and this will probably be the Super Bowl representative because it's an AFC that's kind of messy this year, and the Chiefs are just a tier above them. I just don't understand.
They're my Super Bowl favorite. If I was going to put money on somebody, they actually have an elite defense right now. Somehow it turned the corner. Whatever they did,
elite.
Kudos to them.
It's good. It's fine.
They've been pretty elite
garbage.
last 2 months.
They went from being complete garbage defense-wise to not being entirely terrible. I'd say that's a turnaround.
Yeah, and
I think it's Mahomes' best defense currently what we're seeing right now today.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
You give him that.
It's insane to me this team isn't getting more coverage right now. They got all their coverage at the worst parts of the season, and everybody was like, "Oh, this team's bad." And since they haven't been in prime time,
it's
to show it off.
It's just classic narratives, man. I mean, if you're a good team, everybody wants to see you fall, and if you're a bad team, everybody wants to see you succeed. I mean, it's if you're not doing one of those things, nobody's going to talk about you.
All this to say, I think the Bengals got a shot, but at the end of the day, as I was saying, the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC, and this isn't even a biased take because I need the Bengals to lose. I just think the Chiefs are naturally going to kill the Bengals because they're just a tier above everybody else in the AFC.
Oh yeah, the Bengals have been looking messy.
Recently.
Oh,
They tore it up last week, but it's the whole KC thing. It's right in line with exactly what I've been saying about Cliff. You give him an elite defense, he's going to win you a lot of games. He's going to put up a lot of points. He's going to win you a lot of games. But if not, he gets a little flustered. He gets in kind of a little bit too cute. And what we've seen from the Cardinals, especially the last 3 weeks, so we've only had one defensive turnover the last 3 weeks. First half of the season, we were winning with elite defense and Cliff, being able to be free, being able to be what he wants to be, and that's pound the rock. He wants to pound the rock. He does get too cute because I feel like he does want to put teams out, and he wants to go for the dagger, and that's he loves his fourth downs and whatnot. But what KC's doing, you're giving Mahomes an elite defense, and he's playing good ball now. Mahomes earlier in the year was turning the ball over. Now he doesn't have to feel like the whole season's riding on his shoulders. So yeah, you got to go KC and hopefully the Cardinals defense, because that's what I'm kind of more worried about is the Cardinals defense, because the Cardinals defense can be elite. I think all the other pieces around it, falls into place. The offense can, even without D-Hop, the offense can kind of settle into its own. But when it's getting a little bit leaky and they're able to gash us through the air a little bit, I feel like Cliff kind of gets a little flustered. So
yeah. Next game up, this one could be interesting. You got Dolphins Titans. Who you got?
We're going Dolphins. Dolphins started 1-7. Now they're 8-7. The Dolphins are the first team in NFL history to lose 7 games and win 7 games in a row in the same season. I'm going Dolphins. They're hot. I'm riding them.
I think this is where it ends, man. I mean, aside from that Baltimore game, they haven't really faced that many good teams in this stretch, and I really do like this Dolphins team, but it's like this Titans team's also having a good year. I don't know, man. I'm gonna say Titans.
Let me tell you something right now. I hate the beat a good team narrative because we live in an NFL where everybody belongs in the NFL. Well, okay, most of everybody belongs in the NFL, right? And we've seen really bad teams beat good teams, right? Like we just saw the Texans beat the Chargers. What the fuck, right? Yeah. Like that should not have happened. Not even close should that have happened, right? Nowhere in any logical world should the Texans have dropped 40 plus points on the Chargers. It's not even that they beat them. Should they drop 40 plus points, right? But it happened because these players are a lot closer in level than you think, right? So I hate that narrative, but I also agree with you because it's been the Texans, the Jets, the Panthers, the Giants, the Jets, and the fourth string QB Saints they've beaten.
And I'm not Ravens.
And I'm not, well, you already pointed that one out. Yeah. I was just naming the other teams, right? In there, I think there's one quality win in there, right, against the Ravens, and that wasn't a Ravens team that was okay, they were hurt, but they weren't as hurt as they are now, right? That was still the team that had Lamar Jackson. They flustered Lamar Jackson. They did what they were to do. Reminder: this is a Dolphins team that lost to the Jaguars, the 2-win Jaguars, when Urban Meyer was still coaching them, I'm not trying to trash
about a whole fucking half a season ago. Things changed in the NFL. We can't look at earlier in the year as something.
I'm sticking with my prediction though.
I'm not trashing on the Dolphins.
They lose to the Steelers. I mean, yeah, they beat the Jaguars previously to that. They got crushed by the Patriots. I mean, the Titans lost to the fucking Texans by 2 scores.
It's also a divisional game.
It don't matter. You lose by 2 scores to the friggin' Texans.
So, here's what I was about to say. I think this is the first real game they've played in 6 weeks.
I think it's gonna be a good game. I think it's gonna be possibly the game of the week.
I think it's going to be really fun. I do think we should keep it moving though, because we can't keep spending 3 minutes.
Who are you picking, Sanders?
I wanted to make my pick. I was gonna say I'd be surprised if the Dolphins won this one because I think the Titans are a real AFC contender. Whereas the Dolphins, I won't be surprised when they make the playoffs, and I want to see them make the playoffs because I like Brian Flores too, and this is a good defense. I don't think they'll match up though. So Titans.
We'll find out.
I agree. After that, you got Raiders Colts. Who you got?
Oh, is Carson Wentz playing?
I don't know why he wouldn't be.
Well, first of all, he
was
tested
in
positive
COVID.
for COVID,
Oh yeah,
but
shit,
unvaccinated,
you're right. I forgot
right?
about that.
they've changed it. Yes, literally this morning they announced it can be 5 days. So he could test
He's
negative on Saturday and play
unvaccinated
Sunday.
though, so I think he's
It,
out,
it,
that
it,
right?
Delta
it,
CEO, man.
they said vaccinated or unvaccinated doesn't matter.
Wow.
So if he tests negative on Saturday, he can play Sunday. So that's my question: is
Either way,
does he play or not?
I'm going into either way. Fuck it. I think
So
Jonathan Taylor eats.
Fuck.
Uh,
Okay, first off, fuck that Delta CEO. Second off, it's gonna be the Colts, unfortunately.
So I'm picking Colts if it's Carson Wentz is on there. I actually don't trust the rookies if the rookies. So
No, I mean
I
that's
pick
a good
kind of
point. But
two-way.
we're here on Wednesday night. This is the thing about pick'ems. Pick 'em now. You live with your pick.
I'm gonna do the same thing I do on my pick'ems on my cast. If Carson Wentz is playing Colts, if he's not playing Raiders.
Honestly,
After that, you got
yeah.
Eagles. You got Eagles, Washington. Who you got?
Eagles, they look hot. I like them.
Their
Oh,
rushing
fuck
attack's really
Washington.
solid.
Fuck
I gotta say the
Washington. They
Eagles.
fucked me out of my money.
Did you take
Why
the
would
plus
you
8.5?
ever trust?
Did you take their plus 8.5?
I got Terry McLaurin's fucking ass on my fantasy.
Oh man. Can't.
Going into that Sunday night game against the Cowboys, I was up 35.
Ouch.
I had McLaurin. Yeah, Cowboys defense and Zeke. Ended up losing by
Ouch.
6. Ended up
Ouch.
losing by 6.
Yeah, AAF
Philly.
legend Garrett Gilbert
Go Philly, go Philly, go.
opening up your 4 o'clock slate. You got Broncos, Chargers. Who you got?
Tough one. Probably Chargers, honestly. Drew Lock is playing.
Yeah, Drew Lock's cheeks.
Yeah,
Chargers.
no. I agree.
After that, Texans,
Bo
Niners. Who
Bobbles
you got?
going Denver? No, Bo Bobbles with Chargers. Oh, we got an upset, folks.
Oh.
Bobbles
Schrader
never
Bobbles.
goes against his hometown. Wow.
After that, you got Texans, Niners. Who you got?
Fun fact, Sanders. Bo Bobbles is from South Park, Colorado. So.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
having himself a time.
As for your
Texans,
actual,
Niners.
I was gonna say,
No,
as for
he's
your actual
not.
question,
He's not.
hey, I know
he
you
was
want to
like,
keep it
what
going,
the
but don't
fuck?
make it so obvious either. I'm gonna have to take San Francisco though. They should be.
Mac, who you got?
San Fran and who?
The Texans.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I'm assuming
Wolves
you
got to go
represent
poop or
San Fran,
something.
right?
Oh boy, it's gonna be the Texans, baby. Love the
Oh
Texans.
no!
Get it up,
Wait,
baby.
is this a bias pick or?
This is they did it last week. I'm gonna try to see if something
You know
happens
what?
This
this
is
week.
a Will is sober pick.
You might have a legit thing because Trey Lance might be the one playing this Sunday.
You right? I
You right?
I don't know. It's like seeing that game against the. I mean, anything can happen, man. Anything can happen. I think the Texans win. After that, you got Lions, Seahawks. Who you got?
Don't hate me for this one because I just
Going
think
Detroit.
Seattle's ass cheeks. I'm going Detroit, dude.
No, fuck that. No, I'm not. I'm going
Wait,
Seattle.
what do you mean? Fuck that. What do you mean?
Who's quarterback for Detroit?
Jared Goff, and guess what? Jared Goff plays
Is he
decently
starting
against
this year?
Seattle historically.
This week? Is he starting this week?
It says Jared Goff knee injury kept him out of Wednesday's practice. So,
I thought he was supposed to play this Sunday.
It could be Tim Boyle again. Tim Boyle's pretty cheeks.
Oh no, yeah, Tim Boyle. Yeah, I gotta go see. I don't like Jared Goff, but if it's him or Tim Boyle, I'm going Goff.
There was a story I read once from a Why Your Team Sucks thing from Deadspin. And it was a guy, with his girlfriend. He's like taking his girl to see a Cardinals game. She's asking, which one of those guys on the sidelines a quarterback. The quarterback, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's that guy over there," and he points to Kevin Collins. And she's like, he doesn't really look like a quarterback, and it's like, he was like, ever since that day, if a quarterback doesn't look like a quarterback to me, I know he's cheeks. And Tim Boyle, that man does not look like a quarterback. Yeah, fuck that. It's gonna be the Seahawks this week. Ending your 4 o'clock slate, you got a real stinker of the game that unfortunately is the reason I can't watch the Cardinals game on my phone as I go to the arena.
Unfortunate. Saints Panthers.
Saints Panthers. Fucking get this shit off my screen. I hate it. Who you got?
Sam Darnold, baby, confirmed to start. Give me the Panthers.
I'm gonna vomit in my mouth.
Are you gonna take Ian Book or Sam Darnold? Tell me which one.
I'm gonna take Sean Payton over Matt Rule. Are you kidding me?
Okay, and guess what? Sean Payton has scored a total of 12 points in the last 2 weeks.
With fucking Darnold's like amount of attempts in his career, if I remember right, he's like the 4th worst quarterback to have that kind of rate.
A TD interception rate. Yeah, he's not great.
He's awful. He's one of the worst quarterbacks to enter the league in God knows how long. It's going to be an ugly ass game.
I mean, he's definitely, if it's between him or Ian Book, I'd go fucking Carolina all day, every day. I think Taysom Hill might be back. No.
If Taysom Hill's back, it's a dub for the Saints. Either way, it's a dub for the Saints. Y'all are crazy. It's gonna be the Saints win.
Actually, Taysom Hill was activated, as was Trevor. You know what? I'll take the Saints. I'll
give you that.
All right.
Now we know Carolina's gonna win. I picked Carolina.
No, stop, dude. You actually, bro. My picks have actually been really good this year. What the hell?
A joke.
I won pick'ems this week. This whole institution's a joke.
I will take Carolina. Oh shit, Bobbles, you crazy motherfucker.
Wait, did he pick Carolina?
Yeah.
Oh, let's fucking go, dude.
Y'all are crazy. Sunday Night Football. You got Vikings Packers. Yeah.
Packers. Vikings already got their 1 win against them. They're not going to sweep the Packers. Not happening.
No, I'm going Green Bay as well.
Packers, baby. Monday night. Monday night, you got a very important game for this playoff picture. You got Browns, Steelers. Who you got?
If I have to watch Big Ben more than the next 2 games, I feel really sorry for Pittsburgh fans, and I'm saying that as a Baltimore fan. But
I'm going
at the end
Cleveland.
of the day, they look bad, so I'm going Cleveland.
Yeah.
I believe in Cleveland.
Hell yeah, dude.
Feed Nick Chubb.
Yes, sir. Make him Nick Chubby.
Cleveland.
Nick Chubby, sheesh.
How much you're feeding him. Jeez. But all of that leads to your 425 game, America's Game of the Week. Your Arizona Cardinals versus the rib eating, the country music listening, the how about them Dallas Cowboys. Who do you have?
Cardinals 24-20. If I was a betting man, I probably would not bet Cardinals. But since I've never picked against the Cardinals on this podcast, I'm going Cardinals. I'm going to hope that the defense steps up. It can hold the high flying offense from the Dallas Cowboys. I know Washington is all banged up and they were missing a ton of guys and whatnot, but just watching that game, there's a lot of things I would expect to happen in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cardinals win a close one. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys won a close one. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys blew us the fuck out. I don't believe Kyler Murray will let that happen. I believe that his good vibes in Dallas, he's going to eat him and Cliff both. I think it's going to... The setting is set for a close game, hopefully. But the only thing I'd be surprised about is if the Cardinals win big. Without James Conner didn't practice today. Today's Wednesday. Without James Conner, he's got almost 20 fucking touchdowns this year. DeAndre Hopkins, between those two, they got like 25 fucking touchdowns. Cardinals can move the ball up and down the field. Who can we get touchdowns consistently from is what I want to know. I want to see Zach Ertz step up in the red zone even more. I want Cliff to be making the right decisions. I know that you brought up last week, if Cardinals lose out and we get blown out in the playoffs, should Cliff be fired? And I didn't even want to have a part of that conversation, but I'm willing to have it a little bit right now. And you know what? I'm not changing the goalpost. I said Cliff has to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
To fucking keep his job. That shows growth. That shows, everything that we were asking for heading into this playoffs. I don't care how it got here.
Yeah.
They're in the playoffs. Cardinals are in the playoffs.
I wasn't suggesting that he be fired. I was
No,
suggesting
you brought it up.
Should
I'm
he
just saying
be
that
on
you brought
should
it
he
up.
be
Yeah.
on red alert if that happens?
Right,
I said
right.
the hot seat, not should he be fired.
Okay. I'll go back and listen. But either way, my standards have not changed. My standards do not change mid-season. A lot of fans, irrational fans who don't have a lot of perspective, might. But, we're in the playoffs. This is year 3. That's what we asked for. Year 4, you want even more growth. And Cliff has hurdles to overcome. There's no doubt about it. But so does Kyler. Kyler's 0-5 in playoff clinching scenarios, just as Cliff is. Kyler, I thought he looked amazing with his legs last week, and he threw some dimes. Don't get me wrong, and I do not think he's a reason why we lost. But I feel like elite quarterbacks should be able to elevate their teams to more wins, and this is his time to kind of show it. You want to be a $400 million fucking quarterback? Let's get some wins. But like I said last week, I didn't believe last week was a must-win either. I wanted us to play more competitively. I wanted us to show a better product, and I believe we got that. Aside from the penalties, which were some of the, just mind-numbing. I felt like it was a more competitive game against a better team. This week, I'm not so worried about that. It's next week. If we don't look good against the Seahawks before the playoffs, I am really going to be worried, or at least not very confident. Because right now, every Cardinal fan should at least be a little skeptical, a little critical. Unless you're wearing the Cardinal red glasses 24/7, which I try to put myself as not an irrational fan. So a lot of people probably look at me as someone who does wear those glasses, but I'm also a realist, and they need to at least show something before the playoffs. And I don't think it has to be this week. It would be nice if we could win out, because really, we do not want to face Tampa, Dallas in the first round. I would much rather want to face the last wildcard team, Philly, Minnesota, whatever those other bottom teams are. There's a clear gap difference in talent and team from having to go into another fucking place and play, and us being able to win out possibly and still win the NFC West. So I would love for us to win, and I'm gonna pick us to win 24-10.
24-10.
No, sorry, 24-20. Thank you. I'm about 6 beers deep is what the beers next to me. I'm on my 5th one. But yeah, I'm going 24-10. Nothing would surprise me. A Cardinals blowout kind of would, but we are. Let me just say, we're 4-0 against Mike McCarthy last 4 games. So I'm gonna hang my hat on that, even though only one of those was with Kyler and Cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sanders.
And that's all I gotta say about that.
Sanders, you want to go next?
Yeah, my pick, and I'm gonna try and make this one short because he took up a large chunk. So my old football coach in high school, he once told us, if you can make, because I played defense, I played middle linebacker. If you could make as a defense 3 impact plays, and he called them big impact plays or more often than not, you were winning the game. And he labeled interceptions, sacks, and forced fumbles as big impact plays. You could have loss of yards or whatever, blah blah blah. But he talked about big impact plays. I did all the numbers while Mac over here was talking. The Cowboys have 70 big impact plays, 15 games. Average it out, it's 4.7 big impact plays per game. Ironically enough, You can talk about the offense all you want. I think the best part about this team is the defense, which is so weird because I hated this defense last year. I wasn't sold on it 7 weeks in because I thought they were bend but don't break.
Dan Quinn has done
Dan
good
Quinn has
things
done
for sure.
wonders. Dan Quinn has showed exactly why he led the league.
Well, their defense probably scares me as much, but yeah, I feel like our defense is more
He
depleted.
showed exactly why he was the guy who led the Legion of Boom when it was the Legion of Boom, right? That was Dan Quinn. And notice how the Legion of Boom started, and it wasn't completely downhill, but it started its downhill after Dan Quinn left for the Falcons. I digress on that, though. Dan Quinn was the creator of the Legion of Boom, and he's doing it again in Dallas, and it's crazy how much he's doing with his talent. Is Trevon Diggs great?
No,
No.
I don't think he's head coach worthy.
But he's a great defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I agree.
But no, there's 13 interceptions for Micah Parsons. Sorry, 13 sacks for Micah Parsons, rookie, by the way. Like 13 interceptions for Trevon Diggs. Like everybody is like doing their part. No one excels at everything, but everyone is doing their part on this defense to do this. I think Randy Gregory has like 8 sacks, and he has not played a lot this year. So I hate to say this because like 6 weeks ago, I was like, Cardinals are going to kill the Cowboys. 6 weeks later, I don't think the Cowboys are going to kill the Cardinals. I think you're going to see why the Cardinals are the 5 seed and why the Cowboys are the 2 seed. The Cowboys look pretty dang good, and there's not many teams who can beat them right now, I feel. Now, I could be totally proven wrong. I would love to be proven wrong because at some point the Cardinals got to win again. Right? I don't believe they'll go on a 7-game losing streak where they lose the rest of the season games and lose in the playoffs, right? I don't think that'll happen. I mean, yeah, you probably beat the Seahawks, but like...
In 2008, we were on a 3-game losing streak. We got right in the last week of the season at home versus the Seahawks. Same exact scenario this year.
Do it again, right?
If we lose, it'd be 4 games.
I just can't see the Cowboys winning. And it's so unfortunate because I've been so high on the Cardinals this year, and yet in the 3 times I've been on the show, I've picked the Cardinals once to win and twice to lose. It's kind of crazy.
That's why I asked Will, why the hell was he having you on tonight? Fuck. So what's your score?
I actually think this is going to be a bit of a shootout, and I got 35-31. I think the Cardinals offense will pop off, but I also
35-30?
Pop off 35-31.
Okay.
I'm gonna be completely real with you guys. There are 2 games that I'm seeing on that I'm interested in on Sunday. I'm gonna be paying full attention to the Hornets Suns game. I'm not looking forward to this one, guys. I don't feel comfortable with this one. I think the Cardinals need to win this one to get momentum because it's like I agree that they don't need to win this, but it really would help if they go
seeding wise and division wise.
Well, yeah, it does, but it's like the idea that if we don't win, we'll be fine. It's like I don't entirely vibe with that because going into the playoffs with just 1 game of momentum, it's like you can do that, yeah, but it's so much more helpful if you got more to it than that, and it's just. I've been frustrated by this team.
I don't know if the stats correlate to that, to be honest. I don't know. There are a lot of baseball specifically that it doesn't matter how hot you finish that last month. It really doesn't. It comes down to how good like your pitching staff or like how good you are overall in the season. So
I'm frustrated, and I want this team to win, but it's just it feels like they keep getting in the
So Dallas what?
Dallas 35, Cardinals 20.
Oh my goodness! At least I didn't predict a blowout.
It's not a blowout. That's not a blowout.
Well, I think I'll pull a Jackie next week, and I might not be healthy enough to join the show. So, but shout out Jackie. We miss you. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit better here in the next day or 2.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the Devin Booker masterclass on Sunday.
I would like to say there is a scenario where the Cardinals go back to their first 10 weeks of defense. And like I said, I do think the weaker point of this Cowboys team is the offense, right? And if the defense steps up, right, and the Cowboys offense stalls like it has this season a few times, this Cardinals team can win. Like I'm not going to come in on here like last time I was like, Cleveland probably wins this and they're going to expose your running game, right? Your run defense. Now, Tony Pollard and Elliott are probably going to expose your run defense again, because it's been exposed throughout the season. But I think the major difference here is Dallas's offense is been hot or cold this year. Really hot, as you saw last Sunday, or really cold, where they had a 19-9 game against Kansas City, right? Like they scored 9 points against Kansas City, of all teams, right? Like, but their defense held Kansas City to 19.
Getting it together.
Their defense held Kansas City to 19, right? But they only scored 9 points. So, my whole point in this is that, like, is if you catch the Cowboys at the wrong time, and by the wrong time, I mean, like, their offense isn't firing on all cylinders, they're beatable. Like, this isn't an unbeatable, like, NFC team. Like, you can beat them. I 100% you guys believe that.
I feel you. I don't know. It feels like there are teams that are entirely beatable that we've lost to in this stretch. I mean, we lost to the Lions, so it's like I don't think it's out there for me to say that I think we lose this one. It's just I want to believe. I want this team to win, and I want to go into the playoffs, and I want us to win a fucking Super Bowl. But it's so frustrating. Mac, you got crazy feedback going on right now, man.
It sounds like his fan.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I want to believe, but I feel like it's a loss.
I don't think too many of the Cardinals fan base would disagree with you on this one either. But I think at least...
I just need to see the Cardinals do it once before the playoffs. Beat the Seahawks, I'm good.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Get a 12.
It's just like
an 11-win season.
Because even if you get a better seed, you still have to win so many games to fucking, get to the Super Bowl and do what you have to do. You got to turn the light on anyways.
Yeah.
So, it might come later than sooner.
But it's just we keep getting into these scenarios where it's just like these entirely like that Lions game. You're facing against one of the worst, the quote unquote worst team in the NFL, or you're facing the Colts and they're down 5 linemen. It's like these are games that teams of our that are supposedly of our pedigree win, and it's just we've
they got to come over the hump. Yeah. Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray got to get over the hump. They're a tandem.
Yeah.
Everyone can point at Cliff, but they're together. They both got to get over the hump. And Vance Joseph's defense, hopefully they can stand up against the run and kind of make the Cowboys one-dimensional. Because if you let them be able to play action, do everything that they want to do, it could be a long day. Still believe in our safeties, but our cornerback room, that's not championship caliber right now. So we need to give them some help. We need to be able to get to the QB. We need to hit Dak. We need to be able to stop the run. And I hope that Vance is ready, and his players. It's not just Vance. He's down a lot of players too. And, and it sounds like Devon Kennard is going to be out due to COVID. So I preached last week about Dennis Gardeck hopefully getting some reps, and I want to see him get more than 10 reps, 15 reps a game. Get him out there, put him out there for 35, 40 snaps, because he was impactful when Chandler Jones left last year when he got hurt. So I want to see that. I want to, he's Dennis Gardeck. Everyone thinks he's more, not everyone, but I think if you're an outsider, you see this guy, scraggly hair, looking like a fucking caveman. You haven't heard of him before. But the guy's got a real skill set. He's around the ball a lot more often than not. So, and he doesn't miss tackles. So I want to see more of that. Hopefully he can step in, and hopefully he gets opportunity. Because Joe Walker, I don't want to see Joe Walker out there. I thought he had a decent game. He gave that huge catch to Mo Alley Cox late, didn't help things. So and Zaven Collins, let's get Zaven some reps. I know he's a rookie, but God bless it. Like, this is 2 years in a row, the same shit over and over. Playoff teams need their first round picks. Good teams need their first round picks to come in and at least be impactful at this time of the year, especially.
And I would like to see this is a long shot. I would like to see Simmons take a few snaps at corner or just in the secondary for this game, because I feel like having somebody of his caliber
I don't know he could keep up with. He can't keep up with Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Michael Gallup's a fucking sprint star as well. So it's tough.
But it's just our cornerback room is so depleted that it's just like any sort of spark would be nice.
Yeah, I feel you.
The idea that that like Breland would have been a big signing for us is kind of depressing, just given how the season.
I don't even know. There's a reason why the dude is out there. It doesn't move my meter. Meter. It's really the Rajul Douglas one that sticks with me every fucking week, because when he had that interception against us, it was like, oh, that's cute. You know what I mean? Yeah. But he's done it over and over and over.
But you've got to figure. I mean, he was a guy that bounced around for a while, and there were 31 other teams that didn't take him when he was.
Yeah, but when you have him on your roster, and now you're bringing in guys like Rashard Breeland and guys like Antonio Hamilton, who, I know you like Hamilton, but he didn't really make an impact positively this last week. So hopefully he can step up. Otherwise, it's a hindsight 2020 game. We don't get paid the millions Steve Keim does. You can't be letting guys like that off your roster who joined the Packers in week 6, and now he's 4th in the NFL in interceptions. That's a GM's job. That's not our job to fucking.
Didn't he get I'm probably misremembering. I was gonna say, didn't he get a Pro Bowl nod? But I don't know if he did.
He might have. He's 4th. He's playing all pro cornerback coverage right now.
Maybe he's an alternate, but I get you. It's frustrating.
It's frustrating, no doubt. But hey, next week we'll be here.
I really am hoping I come into next week and say fuck that Suns game. The Cardinals are where it's at. But I want to be proven wrong.
Wait. ¿Por qué no los dos?
What?
Why not both a Suns dub and an AZ dub? Like, what are we talking about here?
Well, yeah, but it's just like, this is not a Phoenix Suns podcast. If I can have the mentality of I am more excited that the Cardinals won than the Suns win,
Fair.
Yeah. If I
Holy fuck, we're coming on 2 hours on this episode?
No, we're coming in on a little over an hour and a half, which means we should probably wrap this shit up. Guys, you got anything to add?
We appreciate you guys tuning in. We were without Jackie tonight, so we thank you if you're still listening here, an hour and a half in, and shout out to Sanders for coming on such late notice.
Hey, and I didn't have so much rants about my own team. I tried to keep that out because that was a complaint by one of your listeners last time. So I was like, you know what, let's keep it Cardinals focused one. And honestly, you know what?
See that.
I saw it. I went to the Monday night game against the Rams. I know they lost, but it was still a ton of fun. I love seeing all the trash that the Cardinals did. You guys have an awesome fan base to interact with live. Like, it was just so much fun. So I hope they win this weekend, even though I have the Cowboys winning. I hope the Cardinals win anyway. Like, I'd rather be wrong in that situation.
I would like to see some more red in the stands for that final game, because seeing that much blue for Cardinals Colts really did bum me out. Like, hearing that much cheering when
that was not. Yeah, I agree.
That really bummed me out. And I get it. It's Christmas. Everybody wants to spend time with their families, and the people who do come to go see that game are the kind of people who would travel. But it just really bummed me out, and I really do hope we can see more red in the stands next week. But yeah, man, I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping for a dub, but it's just like, on the same token, I'm not expecting it.
Hey, everyone's picking against us, so I'm here for it.
Well, then let's hope we rise to the occasion. That's what the best teams do. But anyway, this has been yet another episode of I almost botched our podcast name, of the Redbird Redzone podcast. My name is Will. You can find me on Twitter at LiveOnThatSwing.
It's Cardiac Mac again. You find me at AZ Sports Fiend.
And you could just search my name, Sanders, and probably find me, but it's also HC_J Sanders.
And this has been the Redbird Redzone podcast, a Max Hall production. Don't fucking reproduce unless you pay me, bitch. Peace!